Well, good morning, my friends. Welcome to Words from a Friend podcast. I'm your host, Marty Carey, and this is the podcast that follows my book, Words from a Friend, a daily guide to a purposeful life. It's available at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. We're on a 365-day inner journey together, so happy and grateful to have you along. We're on day 78 of that journey. Today's message is jumping to conclusions. Jumping to conclusions. We do this every day, don't we? Our ego wants to jump to conclusions instead of being present and letting things kind of unfold, let the facts unfold, all that kind of stuff. See, our ego wants to butt into everything, just kind of, bull in a china closet in every way. Wanting to get to the next minute all the time. Present moment isn't enough. It's always wants to get next minute. Seeing into the future and jumping to conclusions. That's a big part of that. Big part of it. Assumption. Jumping into conclusions. It goes like this. This one human trait causes so many problems, it should be renamed foot-in-mouth disease. Foot-in-mouth disease, isn't it? We've all done it. We do it every day. We are all guilty of this practice. We have a smidgen of supposed facts, and we create an entire scenario in our heads that we decide to believe as total 100% truth. We then grab our judge's robe and gavel and commence with the trial. Guilty verdict already decided. Sound like you? Sound like you, right? The judge. So what do we do? So what do? We keep ourselves out of this trap of the ego. We give space and we give time to the issue. Presence. Present moment awareness. Somebody gives you something, somebody comes along with some information, you just believe it's true from what they say. So then you take it on, you create scenarios like, what? And you're reacting all the time. That's the reactive self. The ego is the reactive self, always reacting, does not know how to respond. Responding is much different. Responding is responding with presence and understanding that you can alchemize anything that's in front of you. You have the ability to transmute it, transform it, and change it, or just realize that you can't change it, change yourself, move away, you make a different decision. Because staying in the insanity is you can't do that either, right? Anything else is insane. So jumping to conclusions is just one of those things. We have to give space and let our faith in the present moment show us what the truth is. Ask a few more questions before you're jumping into reaction. Find out first before assuming. Or don't take any action at all until you do know. That's the best thing. No action at all. There's one of the funniest things I've seen out there is jumping to conclusions, and I've seen it a few times in my day, is when you think somebody is expecting and you go up to congratulate them. You've assumed, you've jumped to a conclusion, and you're all happy about it, and you're all, oh my God, that's such a blessing. And you're going in with all the well wishes, and then they go, whoa, man, I'm not expecting. And it's like, oh no, seen it on a Seinfeld episode, but I've seen it in real life. It's so funny. That's one of those ones that jump to conclusion. I've seen people in my own world do that, but I can't name any names because, she'd kick me out of the house. We all do it. So what do we do to keep ourselves out of this trap of the ego? We give space and time to the issue. Space in our mind to ask if what our self-created scenario is in fact 100% true, or if some parts of the facts or others are assumptions of the ego, and the ego's desire to punish or be right instead of kind and understanding, right? Lots of times the punitive mindset, it's already decided. I already don't really care for that person, so I'm already going to believe this thing that I just heard, and I'm going to make it true, and I'm going on the attack with it, and I'm going to react to it, and I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to create all this drama from assuming, from just projecting out into the world something, a whole reaction to something that we didn't have the facts for. You end up looking like a dunderhead. And then the ego won't take account for that either. The ego will just say, well, they're just like that. They would have done something like that. That's how you save your ego. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. You're not being real. You're not being authentic. You're not being authentic to your soul. That's authenticity. Authenticity is really living from your soul because that's the real you. right? Understanding that you have an ego and you have to tame that thing and you have to keep that thing on a leash until you really tame it and bring it into wholeness, which is the journey. It takes time because you're learning from, your conditioning of the past, and you say, well, it is not teaching me anything new. In fact, it's just dragging me down. Take it out of there. Assumption is one of them. Give space. Give presence to the moment. Stop assuming. Stop assuming. And you're not going to be jumping to conclusions. So time is also needed to sift through what is truth and what is your or other perception of supposed truth. Supposed truth is judgment. One person's perception of another or a situation. Just perceptions. Each of us can have our own opinion and perception of the same exact thing, can't we? Where's truth found in that? Where do you find truth in that? Well, you find truth in harmony and in figuring out together what's the best course forward. That's the real way, and that's found when you're centered. You're not in reaction, because response is a centered approach. Response is different because it's a centered approach. You're not responding from your ego. You're not giving that hothead of yours or that scared self of yours the final gavel on things at all. In fact, you're going, all right, I know what you're saying, naysayer. I know what you're saying, low self. I hear your voice very clearly because the ego's voice is very loud within. But love's voice is subtle. Your soul's voice is more subtle than that. That's why you got to get quiet to hear it. You got to get quiet to hear it. But after you've done that for a while, and you've gotten quiet, and you learn to be in that space and be completely comfortable in silence, which scares so many people. Silence, having no noise on in the background. That's very scary to a lot of people because it's like you're all alone. You're all alone. Your ego feels all alone because you don't know that your spirit itself, and you have all this help around you at all times. You're never really alone, ever. The 3D world can make it look like that because we only have a keyhole perception of what's really out there. We're living in kind of a Las Vegas sphere, almost like, just a big show of ego. And we learn to sharpen our blade from the contrast. We learn to sharpen our soul from the contrast of it. But when we get caught up in it, well, then we're getting in the way of our soul. We're getting in the way of our light. We're tripping over ourselves. We're assuming, presuming, all of that stuff, and jumping to conclusions wherever we go, right? And we're just living our life from that. And then we're like, and then you're just pushing that out into the world, and then it's just like opinion. Here's my opinion on things. Hey, does anybody want to hear my opinion on this? It's like, I don't think anybody really does care about opinion. Well, clearly, that's what's on TV and getting the ratings. Opinions, everybody's opinion. What this person said about that person. Can you believe that you hear that today? What George Clooney said? Who gives a shit what George Clooney says? Oh my God, the false idols we've created and look up to. Now, truth is what we need to look up to. That's only found within. We're not looking for truth in Hollywood, are we? We're not looking for truth in politics, are we? No. Truth isn't in politics. Winning is politics. Whatever wins, that's politics. But what's the truth? What is the truth? Well, the truth is God. Love is the truth. And love would ever have any of this nonsense, this conflict all the time, this chaos. That's the false self creating a false world. And we participated in it because we didn't know. But now we're awakening. We're awakening to the truth of who we are. And then we're saying, screw that stuff. Screw all of that produced world, produced fakey fake world. We see through it now. We see through it. We see all the evil. We see it. So many more of us see it for what it is. And it's so disgusting that it has to go. It has to go no matter. And the people that don't see it, well, we're saving you too. But you'll see it. You're definitely going to see it, whether you accept it or not, and say, and then say, all right, I have been lied to in many ways here, and I just didn't know. Well, that's just ignorance, okay? Come out of the ignorance into the awakening of who you are. You have wings. You live in a cocoon of what everybody else tells you are, or what everybody else tells you the world is all about. Yeah, it's all in here. You already have a plan in there, implanted in there, for how you bring your light to the world. That's the mission. How are you going to bring your light that God gave you to this mess? What's your role going to be? You got beauty in you, like you don't even believe. Well, you just got to express that so much more. in the favor of your own life and those around you. Okay? That's your own little microcosm of the macro. And that added, it's like cleaning up a cell in your body. It's like taking out a cancerous cell and replacing it with a beautiful new cell. You are a cell of all the other cells from the light. We turn our light on as a cell of that body of light. Well, now we've cured the dis-ease, haven't we? We've cured it, right? It's like we're a peptide, We're going after the stuff. Really what it is, it's light. It's our light. We've turned our light on into our own cell. We've seen the darkness for what it is, and we've cast it out of ourselves. Cast it out. We take no more advice from that at all. We realize that we are the cell of light, a cell of light in the body of light. And all of these cells are going to come together and create a new body of light for all of us to live in. For all of us to live in and enjoy, finally, after centuries of bullshit and garbage and propaganda and telling us we're specks or cattle to be treated for diseases that they cause, and then they are also the cure. What a fakey, fake, greedy ass world we are leaving, my friends. We are leaving it. We're leaving it in ourselves. No more. We cast out the bullshit in ourselves. It's over. We become the cell of light for our own and our own light. That's it. That's our job here right now. Anchor that. Be that. Stop the nonsense of crap like assumption and all that stuff that just lives in your lower cell that you're you're crapping out so that you can feel much lighter. A buddy of mine said to me, hey Mark, I love your book. He says, I have it. You know where I keep it? I keep it in the shitter. He says, it's a great shitter book. He goes, because I just read it. And he goes, and if I see something in there where I feel like you're picking on me, he goes, I'm going to rip that page out and I'm going to use it as toilet paper. Well, you guessed it. That friend is from Troy. Troy Grit, baby. Troy Grit. And I loved it. What a great thing that was. It was beautiful. I loved it. But that's it. There's no fakery in this. This is just truth I'm trying to speak. Absorb it and hope it helps you. That's it. That's the only thing. That's it. So it's not about all the worldly stuff for me. It's about helping the world and helping you to help the world, to know why you're helping the world, because your life is just going to get better in doing it. You're in service rather than in victimhood and slavery of the matrix. No, you're an individual, beautiful cell of light. Turn it on, baby. Turn it on. You have much to see in your own self and your own life to uncover when you do it. You're gonna be so happy you did. You're gonna be so happy you did. Just letting in the sun, putting the sun on your garden, okay? And just being diligent about it. When we are in a great mindset, when we jump to conclusions, we are usually just reacting to whatever our first thoughts are. Usually we get so tangled up in the first thought that we just let the verdict out of our mouths quicker than our higher self can stop us. Quicker than the soul's filter of what your ego wants to say. This is how wars are created in your mind and outwardly in your life. Drama. It's also why we become disconnected from each other and from spirit. Right? Because we're reacting all the time. We're living in our ego, the thing that just tells us we're separate. So we have to defend and fight for this ego and this, our rightness, our need to be right, and all the foolishness that lives in that false self. It's foolishness. It is. Just be a good human and get on with it. Create something beautiful for this world. You came here to do it, my friend. You're a creator. If nothing else, just create beauty for yourself to fill that cup. And then the nature takes over from there. The natural way of that light takes over. You don't have to do anything else. If you're feeling that appreciation for things that you're thinking, saying, and creating, that's it. You're the potter. You're the potter of your life, right? You're the potter. Create a beautiful vase that you can put some beautiful flowers from your beautiful garden. All right? That's a whole different way. It's the higher way. All right? So it's a choice, my friend. We're choice makers, and we make a significant choice in our life to change. It's not changing. It's really just becoming who we've always been. The change is letting go who we thought we were. in many ways. The change is just knowing we've always had the wings, right? Like the Tin Man always wanted the heart, but he always had it, right? The lion always wanted the courage, but he displayed it and had it. Even though he felt the fear, he did the courageous things, you know? So it's really, that Wizard of Oz is a great metaphor for life and how we start to create for ourselves rather than live in our ego and create, from a false guy living behind a curtain and listening to that buffoon. We don't have any buffoon living in here. The person the energy, the love that created us is in here in that heaven within. It is. It's no wizard in there that's, wanting to do you any harm. That wizard says, let's go, baby. I am the way. Use me as the way. I will use you as the way. And I say to God, use me. Use me. This was one of the way he used me. And I said, this is fantastic. Love it. Love it. I get to help spread things that I learned because I had to, because I couldn't stand living in anxiety and fear and panic and all that other shit that the ego just, looking out at the world going, oh my God, we're all screwed all the time. I was there. We're all there. All right, at times. Only one way to bring ourselves out is to bring ourselves up into the truth. Every time. Daily remembrance. This is just a reminder every day to remind you. Okay? I remind myself the same way. And this is how we awaken. This is how we awaken. Keep reminding yourself that you're the light, and you've got much to do here in the best way possible that will make you feel great. That will make you feel great, because giving makes you feel great. And it's not like you're giving away your kingdom of giving away is just your simple, humble truth, kindness. The passion in your work. That's how you give it. That's how you give it, so others can appreciate it for what it is. It's authentic. It's not AI. Your art, your God's art. It's way above AI, and what you produce is way above AI. That's what people are going to come to. It's like, I want human-made art. I don't want AI-made art. It's too perfect for whatever it is. We are imperfectly perfect while we're here. That's what makes our art so special, is because we know that pain is part of the art that we created. That pain that we've all gone through, the wisdom that we glean from it is in our artwork. It's in everything that we do. We say, I want to make this world more beautiful. Well, I'm going to use the effort, which may be, take the life out of me to get there. But at the end, that piece of art that I created through all that struggle and love for it and the passion that I'm putting into it and all of it is going to be so worth it that you look back and go, oh, I'm so glad I created that in my life. Whatever it may be. Relationships and everything else. Our attitude takes on a sudden nosedive when we choose to jump to conclusions and constantly living old wounds. When we're judged by others, we also hang on to these perceptions as truth. Other people's perceptions as truth. Well, if you're looking inside yourself and you're working diligently on your own house and, for you, that's it. You're working with God. You're just working with God to clean up everything that needs to be cleaned up so you can feel better in that light of God. Feel better in it, knowing that I'm not reactive. I'm not in fear, and I'm not in worry all the time, and I'm not in panic, because I've moved into faith, because God's told me who I am, not the world. God has told me who I am from my heart, in my heart, right? And when I get stuck in old ways or bad habits, or I've lashed out at somebody from my ego or thought less of myself in my ego, well, then I'm not agreeing with God. I'm not cooperating with the truth. I'm not cooperating with truth. I'm cooperating with lies. No, that's the rise. You're no longer cooperating with lies of the world, lies that in yourself, and you're taking care of the things that you're taking account for, the things you need to take account for. So you're out there with integrity. Your word is good. How you express is truthful, responsive, not reactive, helpful, not harmful. There. That's it. That's how the light lives in you and for you. So when you're saying yes to God, you're just saying yes to feeling good. You're saying yes to feeling good, truthfully feeling good. Not worrying that, this feeling good is fleeting. You you can always come back to that truth. It's just a practice thing that you have to do here to realize that you've always been it. It's a practice every day, practice of remembrance, connecting with God every day. That's the relationship you're building. Well, that's the expansion of your own life that's going to happen naturally. Your garden's going to be lush, my friend. And what you leave behind is going to be a legacy of wisdom for other people to use as signposts for their own beautiful version of the light, to find their own beautiful path back to it. We all have our own path back to the light. And that's the great thing about, our own personal journey. But the path back to the light is a very inclusive one. It's not exclusive. It's inclusive in that when you're doing it, your example, it should be shared and saying, I found a really good way here. It's not paying attention to all the bullshit. It's just doing what you're supposed to do. The best you can every day. Staying out of the fray of what everybody else wants to be in because they're just stuck in the loop still. All right, you can help them out if you can't. Don't get in their loop. Don't get in their loop. You be the loop for yourself and then see if that can't help the scene. CTA today. Give space between your normal reaction to everyone. Well, and again, what is the news but a show of reaction? It's entertainment for our ego. It's the news. It's ratings high. It's why all the pharmaceutical companies have all of the commercials to show during the news. Who's paying for it all? Who's paying for it all? The nonsense. We got to wake up. We got to wake up and realize we've been played for centuries as pawns in an ugly game that we are not part of, only to be ants in an ant farm right now. God says, no, my child, no, my children. You're so much greater than that. We're here to take this place over in light. Clean out your cell so that the whole body can be renewed again in light. And we can all be free. All be free. Free from hating each other, free from all the crap that has been perpetrated forever. Too long. Okay, today give space between your normal reaction to everything and everything and your actions forward. Most often you need to stay quiet and wait for the truth to emerge. All right? Ever see, those monks that did the walk, the walk for peace? That was beautiful, right, with the dog? That was great. You think these guys would be, they're not jumping to conclusions. They're not out there jumping to conclusions. Why? Why have they? Because they've practiced living in that truth. For them, it's not about having a skyscraper and named after you. Or it's not about, they're not driving Ferraris to bring peace to the world. It's not about that. It's not about the world has told us. It's about consumption and looking good to everybody else. So everybody thinks you're living a great life, but you got shitty relationships behind the scene, and there's lots of ugly in there, and lots of narcissism and all the stuff that we see as what's called reality TV. Man, yikes. That's fast food. That's fast food for the ego. And it is teaching us that reaction is perfectly normal. Yeah, it's perfectly normal in a 3D world where we forget who we are. But being responsive and responsible for who we are and what we project into the world, well, that's really living your life in purpose, in the purpose you came here to do, and live it. That's part of it, most certainly. Create a family if you want, great relationships, all those other things that you want in life, great. But the main goal is to bring light to this world. And when you're doing that as a part of your purpose, well then, my friend, you're going to start loving yourself more because you're going to feel that purpose. And you're going to feel it that's purpose is what brings you the most strength. The most strength. And to do all those other things that you want to do. Purpose first. Put that purpose first. To bring light to the world. You bring it to your family. You bring it to yourself first. You fill yourself up with that light of God. And then you give that to your family in many different ways. Many beautiful ways. You know what they are. You know what you do. I see what you do out there. It's beautiful. So continue to do more of that, and that brings more light to the world. 80-20 rule. You see that ego, you see the fear, but it's more like 99.9%, and let that little 0.01%. That's it. Just so you're aware of that other shit, but you're creating what we want the world to look like as your main purpose. Okay? Just do your little part. That's all that's required. Your beautiful little part. And I see how you do it, so just do it well. every day for your loved ones, for yourself. Much love, guys. We shall see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow.